This week, we're returning to some podcasts that have had the greatest impact and have been the audience's favorite. So enjoy and make it a great day. What are 3 choices that can change our lives for the good? And what are 3 choices that we could be making subconsciously that can destroy our lives? That's what we're going to talk this week about. Now, what are decisions that will ruin our lives? This is very interesting. So, the first decision that will ruin our lives, and we all probably do it and don't know it, that we do it to a different degree, is listen to our brains. So we have to understand our brain has its own programming. It has its way of being and doing. And if we just listen to it, our lives will suck. And let's talk about that. So again, we've talked about how our brain or mind has a lawyer and a lifeguard part. So the lifeguard part wants to keep us safe at all costs. And so it's going to tell us, it's dangerous, keep small. It's going to warn us of all of our negative attributes. And whatever we listen to that lifeguard to our detriment, the lawyer is going to work hard to support whatever it's saying. So it could be like, hey, for example, I'm not enough. And my brain loves that because that's going to keep me small and safe, and that's its job. But if I'm like, hey, I believe that, I'm not enough, and I tell myself that, then the lawyer part of my brain is going to be like, oh, let me find you evidence. Let me show you. So if we listen to that, our lives are going to go to crap. So it's interesting, though, again, I've talked about how we can use the lawyer and the lifeguard differently and just say, hey, lifeguard, I understand you're trying to keep me safe. I understand you're trying to keep me small. I appreciate the information, and I'm going to tell myself something different. And then I let the lawyer go to work on that information, like I am enough. I am lovable. I can do it. I can do hard things. And so we don't want to listen just to our natural brain because, again, it does not want you to take a risk. It's going to have you think negatively because that'll keep you small. It doesn't want to push yourself because it's all about safety. And it'll probably want you to be mean to yourself because it's doing anything to keep you small. But it's not something wrong with our brains. Our brains all do that. We just have to understand that is how the lifeguard part of our brain works. Its goal is to keep us safe and small, and we just have to acknowledge, thank you for that information, but I'm going to choose this, or I'm going to do this because that's what's going to serve my future self. So the first one, don't listen to your brain. Be aware of it. The second one is don't be something you're not. And I feel like for me, there was a huge pressure to be that kind girl. We talk about that a ton on this podcast. Like I was raised in the environment that is like, oh, it's all about serving or consider others more important than yourself. And I was always looking for external validation and being that kind person. But living a life when you're not taking care of who you authentically are or who you really are and you know it is you have cognitive dissonance. It's not good for us. So pretending to be something we're not, or putting on masks to try to cover up that we all have insecurities, we all have challenges. None of us have a perfect life. Life is a mixture of both at all times, and then has seasons that are really great and seasons that suck. We don't have to put masks on. But when we are trying to be someone we're not, like if I'm pretending like, oh, my life is great, I don't have any challenges, that is not going to serve me. That's going to create stress in my body because it's not being authentic for me saying, yes, I focus on a lot of great things and I have challenges, and these are some of my challenges right now. And life is a mixture, and it's really good if we just accept that this is not nirvana or heaven or anything on earth. This is our world, and it's a mixture, and we're a mixture. We have our shadow self and this and that, and that's okay. That's part of the human experience. So don't be someone we're not. It's okay. We can be vulnerable. We can show our humanness. It's okay. And then the third one is if we choose to be the victim, it will ruin our lives because there's crap in the world. We have things done to us that we don't have a choice of. And it can destroy us, but it doesn't have to. But if we are the victim where we're saying it was done to us and then we leave it at that spot, we will never grow, we'll never use it for good, we'll be stuck, and we'll be floundering in the mud. And so, really, I think it's very important to embrace that life is not just happening to us, it's happening for us. And that means that everything that we have gone through, it can be used for good. And I love that, and not saying it is good, because, for example, I went through a destructive relationship. I was molested as a child. I was abused at the psych ward. Things like that. Those are all shitty things, and we can just acknowledge that. And I can be stuck at the victim, or I can say that was really crappy, and I'm going to learn from it. I'm going to grow. I can help others. I can use this for good. And I do remember being at my lowest of lows, the dark night of my soul. And in the previous podcast, I described that and asking God, how are you going to use this for good? I'd like to see you use it for good, because I don't think you'll ever be able to do that. And I challenged him, and he doesn't care if we challenge him or this and that. He gets it. And I had a hard time thinking how my life turning into a pile of crap could be used for good. And it really has been in so many ways and over. And I'm happy to share my experience with you and my times at the dark night of the soul, so you can know that you're not alone. Because I think that's one of the lies we can believe, is that we're alone and we're the only ones that have ever experienced it. And that's not true. We've all had crappy things happen to us. So instead of being the victim, thinking that life is happening for us, and again, then the lawyer is going to go for work in our brains and look for supporting evidence. It's going to look, if we're going to choose to be the victim, it's going to look for supporting evidence of that. If we feed that monster, then it's going to find the evidence. But if we say, hey, this is happening for us, I think all of this can be a stepping stone to getting to where I'm supposed to be, growing as a person, then the lawyer part of your brain is going to get you there. And I really believe that is God going to get you there too. Because it does. It works all things for your good if you love him. And he's communicating to all of us, and he loves all of us. So it's just being like, hey, you're a good God, even though I see some crappy things, and I'm going to hold you to it. And that's okay. So those are the 3 decisions that can ruin your life. Listening to your brain, being someone you're not, and being the victim. So let's talk about, are there the things that choosing the things that are going to grow you and make your life amazing? Or are you choosing the things that are going to make your life crappy? And really decide hey, these are all choices. These are decisions I can make and that I'm in charge of. And that is your power, my friend. Are you feeling stuck in with love, wealth, or peace? Well, you're not alone. Often it's a subconscious belief holding you back. That's why I combined life coaching and hypnotherapy together, so you can break through what's been keeping you stuck. Life coaching helps you shift your mindset, while hypnotherapy works deep within to reprogram limiting beliefs and memories. It's fast, it's effective, typically 1 session of each, and I have a few openings left. Are you ready for a change? Visit livebrighter.info and book your free consultation and see if this approach is right for you. See you then. Have you ever noticed how we use our past to beat ourselves up and against ourselves? I've done it. I do it plenty. That's what we're going to talk about today. We're talking about de-weaponizing our past and actually using it to propel us rather than to beat us up. So first, make sure you share, rate, and review this podcast. We're also on YouTube, so you can see us there if you want to actually see us, or you can just enjoy and grow from this podcast. It's my greatest joy to encourage us all to grow 1% at a time and to live brighter, because that's what I believe we're meant to do in this world. So how do we create from de-weaponizing our past to letting it propel us? Because that's what matters. First of all, and this is a biggie, is accept reality. The interesting thing is the past has already happened. We cannot go back. We can't change it. There's no what ifs. It's already done. And so when we're not accepting that and we're in the what if mode, we're basically arguing with reality, and reality wins 100% of the time. And that is something to just know, this is in the past, and it needs to just, that it is reality. It is what is. And so being a lover of what is and a lover of like, this is what is huge. And it got us to where we are now. Like we survived it. We're here. We survived 100% of our past because we're here. The second thing, and this is where the transformation, a huge part of the transformation comes, is just start to question it. Is it true? And what have I made it mean? Because it's very interesting, what happened to us can mean lots of different things. And we just assume that our story is the truth, but it's really the story of it, which may be, true for us at the moment, but it's actually not the factual part. And so what it can mean is how it impacts us, what we've made it mean. So I think it's so important to feel our feelings. So feel it, process it, and release it. So I call it the FPR. Feel it, process it, release it. And sometimes just asking for forgiveness and choosing to forgive myself. And then embracing God's forgiveness. I know I've talked to a lot of people that they're like, I know God forgives me, but I just can't forgive myself. And I really question is like, how great do you think our God is and what he did to forgive us? And then what does that mean that we're not forgiving ourselves? Like, kind of go into it a little bit deeper. Because I just love how God sees things. It's so interesting because I was, reading a little bit, and it was funny because God sees people very differently. Like the people that he called to be his disciples are not people we would be like, oh yeah, I choose you. He chose like fishermen. That was just an outburst, an angry person. He chose a tax collector, which is kind of the scum of the earth back then. And he chose to connect with people like the stinky paralytic by the waters. He wasn't like, hey, you got to go clean up, you stink. He was like, no, he could see the beauty and the heart and all of those people. And I think that's how he sees us. We don't have to clean it up, make it look good. We just come as we are, like who we are. And that's okay. So is it true? And what story are we giving it? And are we willing to look at it a little differently? Doesn't mean we have to or change the story, but it's good to be curious and be like, what other way of looking at it could I get from this? What could I do with this that would actually serve me or propel me? If I actually believe that all of this could work for good and it actually is useful, how could that experience be useful? How could I use that? So those are some super good questions. And that brings us to number 3. Let our past and our pain and all of that stuff become our fertilizer. That means rewriting our stories, questioning our beliefs about ourselves. Are they just truisms? Do they serve us? Does it actually empower us? Because when we're empowered, then we can help others more, is what it comes down to. And so really questioning that. For example, to feel it, process it, release it, and then changing the story. A good example is my divorce of my husband. Boy, at first that was just a knife against me. I thought like I had a big D on my chest of the divorce and, choosing to do that, especially coming from a Christian background where nobody in my family would consider something like that. And for myself, after the 2 psych ward experiences from the stress of the relationship and all that I'd gone through, I knew that that's what I needed to do. So at the beginning, I could use that, and I did use that against me and felt a lot of shame and guilt. But then I keep visiting it and feel it, process it, release it, and then rewrite it. And keep doing that. And it went from a story of whoa, there's something wrong in me, which, there is a lot of growth opportunity that came from that, to, the shame and the guilt, to, wow, that was actually really brave to go against your whole family and do what you knew in your heart and your spirit you needed to do. And that was also really brave, where everyone was saying to me oh my goodness, you are rejecting God and, all of that, to really say, no, I am going to cling to God because he's all that I have, and I'm going to do this divorce. And it was really brave because I cut everybody out, which was actually super smart, and would only let them in if they were willing to actually listen. Because I realized I can't convince people of, of my, how I see things or how I experience things. And so if somebody wasn't willing to listen, then they really weren't for me. And so, that story has transformed from, a lot of pain to, and then also, with my mental illness, diagnosis that I had through that, to something that's really propelled me. Like, I have a great amount of empathy. I really let people's journeys, I mean, never perfectly, but let people journey in their own way. My greatest desire is to empower you and me and all of us to live their brightest light, to really let God see them as they are, and for them to see that and really to just shine in that. So it's really gone from, something that could have been like, oh, that domestic abuse, and I attracted a narcissist, and, I've got this bullseye on my forehead, to a really empowering story. And I've had to continually feel it and process it, release it and rewrite it and do that. And so I would carve time out, and I just still do this all the time. I carve out time and I do my FPRR, feel it, process it, release it, rewrite it, and keep working through it. So then I can, go from there and use, because I really do believe that all of our paths can be our purpose and can be our power and all of that. So that is what we have today. Let's change from de-weaponizing our past to letting it propel us. One story at a time, one thought at a time. I believe in you. I believe you're made to live brighter and brighter in your own color, in your own way. And I hope together we can get there 1% at a time. Our emotional cups can get full without us really even being aware of it. But when our emotional cups get full, we can react rather than respond. We can be fatigued. We can feel burdened. We have struggle with sleep. We can have physical symptoms. And that's why I have the free Barf Notebook page for you. And it's a simple process done regularly where you're barfing out your thoughts, sorting them out, and planning them out. And it's a wealth of healing in that. So go ahead and check the link and have access to that free Barf Notebook process. Live brighter every day. I have a very good friend of mine, and her childhood involved a schizophrenic dad that was absent, a mother who was working very hard but had 4 children, and so she was not emotionally there, and she was teased a lot for being chunky. She was so poor that she wasn't even able to buy tennis shoes for her tennis practice. That was her season. But seasons are temporary, and we can carry our learning experiences and our healthy reframing to support or hinder us for our next season. So help me out today and leave me a 5-star review if you're listening to this on a podcast, or if you're watching this on YouTube. I'd love to see your comments, and subscribe to the channel. We're talking about seasons and patterns. So I actually live in a place where we have 4 real seasons. We literally have a fall, and the fall's pretty short, not like the East Coast, but we do have the leaves turning color and the air getting cooler. And then we have quite the winter. So our winter is pretty long here. In fact, I'm also a realtor, and I always tell my clients, I'm like, just when you think it should be spring, it's not. So plan a vacation, get some sunshine, because we do have a long winter here. And the winter time is a time where it looks like nothing's going on and it's cold and stuff like that, but there's stuff going on under the ground. You see the sparkle of the sunshine when it hits the ice crystals, and the sunshine can be out intermittently. And actually we do get a lot of sunshine here, which I really appreciate. And then we have spring. I think most of us really enjoy spring, unless you have seasonal allergies. Maybe you feel a little differently about it. But spring is just a rebirth, a renewal. You'll see fresh life. You'll see butterflies erupting. You'll see insects, which, some of us aren't so fond of those insects sometimes. But we have a beautiful spring. And then we have summer, and summer of green and birds chirping and just lush. And we get lots of nutrients, and we get food from the ground. And so we definitely have those 4 seasons really strongly in this area. And I want to compare that to our seasons in life because we go through multiple seasons of life. And the seasons can just kind of happen upon us. But if we don't understand the concept of seasons and learn to flow with it and grow with it, it can hinder us and get us stuck. So let's talk about that a little bit more. So again, we have seasons in our life. We can learn from the seasons. We can learn from fall. We can rest in winter. We don't want to stay too long in winter, but without the winter, we don't have the rebirth. We don't have the thriving, and we don't have, so in order to flow with the seasons, we need to go with the seasons. And accept that we have seasons. So my current season is winter. Rest. And I have to say, this is the hardest season for me to appreciate. I feel like rest is kind of a unique word and a unique thing in one sense, but God designed rest. He designed, Source designed the Sabbath. And the Sabbath was actually not for God, it was for us because we need rest. And so that's why it's like work 6 days, rest on the seventh day, because we need rest. So it was interesting because a few months ago, I was part of this church group that I had joined for a little bit. And they asked me to just listen to God, listen to Source, and come up with a word that I felt like I was hearing. And it was very strange because the word I got was rest. And that is definitely not a word I'd be like, woohoo, I got the rest word. I was not super excited about that word. But I'm like, okay, maybe God is speaking to me. I'm going to just honor what he's saying and try to lean into what that means. And so at the time, I was running about 95% of capacity of energy and time and resources. So I was running up there pretty high. And as I was leaning into that word, my niece passed away. 15 years old, died of a viral infection, and I immersed myself into helping the situation, which was a lot for me and just flooded my emotional capacity. And I'm glad I did that. And once I was flooded, I was like, wow, I need to accommodate some recovery here because this is not working. So now I've just had to slow down and realize that there's a winter time right now, and I have to slow my life down to accommodate just the emotional recovery and the physical recovery. And my life is looking very different right now. And what that means for me is I'm a highly motivated, driven, positive person, and I'm not showing up at the top of my game on purpose in different areas. And I'm saying no to things that I would normally be like, oh yeah, let's do it. I'm taking a lot more quiet time. I'm taking a lot more time to be in nature or do things that nurture me. I'm doing a lot more emotional processing because anytime we have a season, it can be used to kind of, like when I think of this winter time, I think of like getting in a garden and kind of like, getting ready for spring or, stuff like that where you start digging up the earth. And so it's like digging up some things that, needed some processing and needed some healing. So, and I've really been careful about the people that I'm hanging out with because at the emotional capacity I'm at, I can feel things a little too strongly. The disadvantages of being a highly sensitive person, tending to be that way, is it just can overwhelm my senses too much. So I've had to say no to some relational dynamics that were not serving me, that were lowering my energy level. And I've really had to honor my body, and listen to what my nervous system is saying rather than my mind. And my nervous system, remember, our nervous system is like kind of a compilation, I think, of our subconscious, which is running 90% of the show. And we've got the Holy Spirit in us as a Christian, and we've got God in us. Any of us have a part of God in us because that's the way we're designed in his image. And so we've got all of that working, and I was basically over functioning and not listening to all of that was going on and not listening to what it was trying to communicate, because we really have to be in sync between our mind and our body and spirit. But sometimes I get so excited and so motivated that I'm not listening as well until I get a little tap on my shoulder and be like, hey, we got to change this. So, and then I found out on top of all this, I have to laugh because I found out I have some toxicity. It just so happened that I was taking a test to kind of figure out if I had any toxic overloads in me. And I have heavy metals, and I've got mold, and I've got all these things So, which is super not uncommon, but it's like, wow, okay, now I kind of have to detox some of my thinking, detox my beliefs, and fill me in with good things and grounding and all of those things. So I'm seeing things in a new way and enjoying the simple beauties of this season, but also taking that time to rest, to mourn, to be at a lower state, and allow things to process. So, do I enjoy winter? No, probably not. But I would say enjoy is a strong word, but I really feel like we need to honor the seasons of our life. So I am appreciating it and I'm using it to benefit me. I'm finding the beauty in it. I'm nurturing myself, giving myself a kindness that I haven't, and listening to the future me. So it's really interesting. Like if I need some guidance, I ask God to speak to me. And sometimes see myself as future me in 10 years and just ask her, what would she say to what's going on here and what I need? And that's a really helpful way to kind of hear from ourselves and be in alignment. And she's just like, yeah, you need to rest and recover and, move through this. Make some changes and you're going to grow stronger and better from this, which I believe all of our seasons can help us grow stronger and better if we allow it. So I am just embracing that. So I like these sayings that go along with that, which is on the other side of fear is our biggest dream. Your childhood can be a setup or a setback. You choose, because really our childhood is really 1/10 of our life. And we can use it to pull out the marbles that are helpful, and the ones that were harmful to us, we can work through that healing and work through the processing of emotion and work through that to actually allow us to honor ourselves and know ourselves more and give something to the world, because I don't think any of our harmful experiences are meant to keep us down. I think God He can redeem everything we've been through, and I call him to that. So I hold him to that, and that works. So how do we get stuck in seasons? Well, I really think that it's important for us to be conscious of what we're carrying to the next season. Because we've talked about how during trauma, we can embrace these beliefs or lies that actually end up hurting us. And so it's really important, like during this time for me, to be conscious of the beliefs that I want to bring into the next season, the beliefs that are going to help me, and also just processing it. Like rather than, fighting that this is a winter season for me, just being like, okay, this is a winter. What can I learn from this? What am I supposed to get from this? And just learning the idea of rest is a really good thing for me as a whole. So that's been unique. So we can really get stuck by just like not allowing it or resisting it. Another way we can get stuck is because I think we have to feel all of our feelings, like fear, anger, rage. All of those feelings are like information, but I think we can get stuck as if we reside in a negative feeling for too long. Like just like keep in the anger, or let the anger turn into bitterness, and keep in those low vibe energies and low vibe emotions. That can really keep us stuck. And I'm not saying not to feel it. It's so important to feel it and literally feel it in our bodies and get comfortable with feeling these, not so great emotions. But then transmuting that into, allowing it to change. Because again, when we feel our emotions and sit in them, they change. So not getting stuck in the low, and I think all of those lower emotions have to do with not taking ownership. So we can't control the things that happen to us, but it's not uncommon that something will happen to us, but then we'll re-traumatize ourselves over and over and over and over by how we're thinking about it, rather than like, yes, got to feel it, got to do that. But eventually we want to look at it and reframe it, look at it, visit it again, and figure out like, okay, what can I gain from this? How can I, just keep visiting it and allowing it to us to take ownership, and us not to get into a state that is like blaming and resentment and all of that. Because, we get traumatized once, or we have things that happen to us once, but we can traumatize ourselves for a lifetime. So that doesn't serve us. So the question is, what season of your life are you being called to right now? Sometimes you're being dumped into the season. Sometimes you kind of have to choose, like, okay, I've had a winter and now I'm going to call on Source and God for a spring. So really just identifying the season and know that seasons come and go. They're like winter is super uncomfortable and fall, but it comes and goes. It's part of our life. It's part of the natural progression of our life. So the question is, what season are you in or called to be in? What beliefs or lessons are you getting from the season? What experiences? And just making sure that you're intentionally choosing ones that actually serve you and serve future you. And then just remember, it's just a season and it can all work out for our good. I believe in you. Make it a great day, and I'll talk to you later. Stay tuned for our next episode.